I'm going to say this in every video, but my opinion is subjective. You are welcome to disagree in the comments, but avoid harassment. It's not cool. Okay, thanks. Looping. A concept loved and feared by anyone who has touched an asymmetrical horror game. The basics are simple. You just run around an object in a loop to prevent the killer from gaining distance easily and removing their usage of linear abilities. You would argue that this is a valid tactic until you realize what the point of these games is. Unlike games such as Super Smash Bros., Rocket League, or Street Fighter, asymmetrical games are meant to be one bad guy versus everyone else, who are the good guys. This can vary in genres, from murder mysteries such as Among Us to horrors such as Dead by Daylight. But what makes these games consistent is how the killers are portrayed. Powerful forces. Ones that can demolish anyone with their terrifying arsenal of abilities. And until recently with the new Azure update, Forsaken simply has not acknowledged that. Let me explain. For a long time, Forsaken was suffering from an enormous issue of power scaling. Is the game survivor-sided, killer-sided, map-dependent? In my opinion, only the first and last options were true, because of large loops. In maps such as Glass Houses, Horror Hotel, and Beachside Paradise, these loops often would ruin all killer routes due to them being simply uncounterable. Even though every killer has some form of anti-loop, most of these abilities force killers to stand in place, such as Digital Footprint or Pizza Delivery. Guess 666 and Nolly have no counters to loops at all, which is even more frustrating and shows how map-dependent the game used to be. John Doe would be useless in Yorick's Resting Place or Planet Voss, and Slasher would have an easy victory on Beachside Paradise or Pirate Bay. The execution of these loops made it much more balanced for every killer. And even though I do agree it's surprising they killed basically every single one, it's still a valid idea. Looping is unfun, unfair, and unconditional. It works way too well, and the people who defend loops forget the point of ASIM games. Teamwork is a core strategy in these games. Whether you like it or not, it is essential to risk yourself to help your friends in these, especially in ASIM horrors. If a lobby has good teamwork, the killer will likely stand no chance unless they calculate the weakness and exploit it. That is how Forsaken is meant to be played. A game where people don't sit around on generators the whole time, then run in circles around one point for 3 minutes, but instead help each other by healing or protecting each other, while survivalists divert the killer's attention to open up the others to assist. If the server has bad teamwork, too bad! Find another server. There is no point in you whining about it when nobody will do anything. Maybe instead of demanding killers to learn how to counter loops, you learn how to adapt to the lack of loops. Because I assure you it is possible, plausible, and makes the game less mundane and more unique. If you're still unconvinced, look at it this way. Why would the game hold a maximum of 8 players versus 1 killer if it was everyone for themselves? And how would it be fair if a killer gets outplayed by a sweat simply by running in a circle? The killer is supposed to be a powerhouse, so unless the difference in skill is huge, holy voice crack, they should not be forced to work incredibly hard to kill one survivor. Unless the team works together to protect and support that survivor, in which case the killer does have a hard time. Of course, I can't say all of this without evidence of this working. Die of Death is a game similar to Forsaken that recently received its fashionably late update. The killers all got massive buffs, and literally nobody was upset. This update forced civilians to collaborate against the killer instead of playing hide and seek. Forsaken did the exact same thing, and while I agree Forsaken is much more complex than Die of Death, it still shares the same basic principles. This is also reflected in how every killer got a ridiculous health buff, ranging from 1,000 for Cool Kid to a whopping 102,550 health for 1x, 1x, 1x1. Oh my god, that's pretty big, huh? This shows how much the killers are meant to be powerhouses. One survivor should not be able to survive for over a minute and a half, even if they are experienced. Meaning I do agree some songs in LMS are a bit too long now. It requires the whole team to collaborate to defeat the killer, and if people refuse to do so, so be it, they'll all die anyway. However, one segment of this update is kind of the deal breaker to this change. Azure. The new, incredibly fun, coolest and likely edgiest killer out of all of them, is the one argument against the loop changes. Azure is a zoner who places traps all over the map to cut off certain areas. With the removal of loops, it is impossible to win against an experienced Azure. You seem to get cornered everywhere, so while I don't think Azure should be fully reworked, he needs hard nerfs, because being caught in a chase with him ensures your death. But, yeah, that's it. That's all I needed to say. While I see people's points about the extremeness of the update, it is truly the only way to make the game not only lore accurate, but gameplay accurate. If survivors don't work together now, they'll all end up dead regardless. That is how Forsaken is meant to be played. Not as an everyone for themselves against the big scary monster, but everyone team up to kill the big scary monster. Hopefully now you understand why Forsaken made these changes. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys soon.